Imposter syndrome. We've all felt it in certain situations. Some of us are able to overcome it, while others are simply crippled by it. It can be a very potent motivator, or it can completely paralyze you. Which one is it for you? If you're here, you're probably the latter, and you deal with imposter syndrome just like many of the coaches that I've worked with and myself. That's right, even I've dealt with imposter syndrome. In this video, I'm going to share 3 things that have helped me and the coaches that I've worked with overcome imposter syndrome and show up in our work the way that we know we can. Imposter syndrome can be boiled down into a few key aspects. Usually, you don't feel successful within, despite objectively being a very high achiever. You compare yourself unfavorably to others within social and professional scenarios. The thought of, I don't think I should be here, or they'll discover that I'm a fraud, often come up. And usually, you fail to view yourself as having value, despite the affirmations from others or feedback from people that you highly respect. Simply put, you're constantly feeling like a fraud, and you'll be exposed for your lack of credibility. I personally don't believe in the term imposter syndrome, and I think we should get rid of it entirely. It's like putting a bow on a pig. Saying imposter syndrome is a fancy way of saying that you have insecurity. We all have insecurity. When we put a fancy name on something, we make it socially acceptable, and in turn, we don't see it as something that could be holding us back. This fancy label gives it power. Imposter syndrome is not a medical diagnosis. It's not in the DSM-5. So let's stop allowing it to hold us back. When we give something power, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We avoid situations that make us feel that way, further affirming that we shouldn't be in those positions. That gives it more power. If we call it what it is, an insecurity, that's an impetus for change. Luckily, you're here watching this video, so you know it's holding you back and you're ready for change. Listen, we've all been there. Me? I've felt it more and more as my career has grown. I've been put in a lot of rooms with a lot of high achievers, and my mind immediately goes to, why the heck am I here? What do I have to offer these people? Luckily for me, those thoughts are immediately quieted because I've learned how to manage these feelings. Today, we're going to be discussing 3 tips on how to overcome imposter syndrome and insecurity so that you can grow as an individual, put yourself in these rooms, and build your business the way you know you can. We're going to deal with it head on, practice, and move past it. Let's get into it. First, if you feel like an imposter, it's probably because you are to some degree. I said it. If you feel like an imposter, you probably are. In most cases, you feel like an imposter because you lack preparedness. Here, we have to acknowledge that this feeling could actually propel us to do our best work. You don't want to feel like a fraud? Do your homework. Put everything you have into your craft and show up with the best you got. The best you can do is the best you can do. In other cases, people who feel insecure often feel that way because they're trying to be someone they're not. They're not showing up as their genuine self. I think we see this most on social media. People adopt a persona, and then when they're put in situations where that persona gets challenged, they immediately feel like a fraud. I think we see this the most on social media. People adopt a persona because they think it will be liked by more people. That persona does get them attention, but they're constantly worried about being exposed for being the person they truly are. If this is you, cut that out immediately. Being authentically yourself is one of the most admirable qualities in any human being. Think of anyone you respect highly. I can guarantee you one of the things you admire most about that person is that they're genuinely themselves in every scenario. In public, in private, on social media, with their friends, they are who they are. If you don't like who you are and don't think people will resonate with you, work to change it, but don't show up as someone you're not. If you show up as your best self in every scenario and you do your homework, there is no rational reason why you should feel like an imposter. But unfortunately, chances are you still will. That brings me to my next point. We need to create an awareness over the limiting beliefs about our ability to produce. Limiting beliefs are the stories that we tell ourselves. These are the made up and irrational narratives that lead us to these feelings of insecurity. Going back to my story about speaking at a conference, I knew I was invited and vetted by someone I respect. I knew I was an expert in the topic I was speaking on. I knew I was showing up, having done my best work, and being my most authentic self. Yet I still felt like I would be discovered for having no credibility and not deserving to be up there at all. Many of these feelings and stories come from our past experiences. Experiences that made us feel less than. Experiences where we were bullied or made fun of. Times when we showed up at our best and still lost. These things stay with us and become a filter through which we view the world. It's important to be aware of these filters, identify them, and practice strategies to overcome them. If you know me, you know I'm very pragmatic in the way that I approach problems. First, I remember the facts. I have value, I have evidence to back up my claims, I'm showing up as my authentic self, I've done my homework, and I know what I'm doing. Next, I shift my mindset to one of accountability. I can only do my best. That's all I have. If people don't like that, then all I get is a learning experience on how I can improve improve for the next time. Here's the most important part about limiting beliefs. They never go away. So if you think you're going to overcome them, think again. You're going to learn to manage them, to reframe them more easily, and to move past them, but you're not going to get rid of them. The only way to do that, practice, 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 practice. If you don't, you won't be able to show up online. You won't be able to show up with your clients. Actually, you'll struggle to get clients in the first place, and it'll completely stifle your personal and professional growth. So let's avoid that, shall we? First, spend some time identifying the triggers for feeling the way that you're feeling. In what situations do you feel this way? What environments bring these feelings up? How is it currently affecting your work? In what ways is it limiting you? Next, think about the facts. What credibility do you have? What evidence do you have? How long have you been doing this? Are you being the best version of yourself? Do you have any skeletons in your closet? Now, I would write some affirmations that address each one of your answers to the questions I just posed. I have 2 master's degrees. I've been coaching for 18 years. I've helped thousands of people achieve their goals, and over 30 people quit their full-time jobs and build coaching businesses. I show up as my best true self every day. I have value, and I want to share that with the world. Bringing it back to my video about how to stay ahead of 99% of the coaches in the industry, I do all of those things, and I do them every single day. I truly love what I do. I expose myself to new ideas and constantly seek to level up. I get results, and I work on myself every single day. I want you to write these affirmations down and practice them every day. Paste them around your house. Put them on your phone home screen. Put them in your car. Put them in your gym bag. Put them anywhere where you're going to see them on a regular basis. It might sound silly, but this stuff works. Lastly, put yourself in some uncomfortable situations and do the damn thing. Speak on social media. Get up in front of groups of people. Ask for the sale. Do the things that cause these insecurities to come up and do them often. In these situations, use your affirmations to ground yourself in the moment. And remember, the best you have is the best you have, and you can only show up as your best self. Like I said, imposter syndrome isn't going anywhere. As you practice, every single person, I repeat, every single person deals with insecurity in their own way. They've felt inadequate, and in some capacity it's limited their growth. But the high achievers, the 1%, have found a way to address this insecurity, practice ways to overcome it, and have continued to put themselves in those challenging positions to the point they're no longer limited by them. They've learned to thrive in these situations that previously had them cowering. If you use these tools, I guarantee that you will too. And if you don't, you're not going to make it, and you should probably quit now. A scared animal in the jungle is prey, and in business, only the predators eat. If you like this video and you're getting better at overcoming imposter syndrome, check out my video on how to get your first 5 clients. It'll definitely make you feel insecure, and you'll definitely hear a lot of no's. But remember, it's great practice. Soon, you'll be a pro with a full roster, but remember, it's great practice. And soon, you'll be a pro with a full roster and a fat bank account. If you still need help, click the link in the description. Let's hop on a call and see if there's any way I can help. Stay strong.